Well, hello, I'm Johnny Rowland, your host of the Shooting Show, and welcome to today's program. Friends, honestly, I wasn't sure that we were going to be on this week, but we just about had to be. And in fact, if some of you please help me pay for this week's program, I really would appreciate you doing that this coming week, because this is serious stuff here. We have a lot of things to talk about today, and you know, I thought I've been working here on the farm all day, been working on cartridges, on ammunition, on accuracy all day. I said, you know, I'm like a lot of us. Here I am in my Shooting Show t-shirt, because I do work, just like a lot of you. A lot of you work hard for your money. You pay your taxes. You pay way too much in taxes. And another reason it's warm out here today, but let me tell you what, it's not nearly as warm here in Louisiana today as it is for us as gun owners nationally. It's getting hot for us. In fact, our days as gun owners may be numbered. We're going to be talking about in a moment about this thing that's happened out in Colorado. We'll talk about that in just a moment. But first of all, we want to issue a great thanks to the folks that came out and saw us in Tuscumbia, Alabama this past week. We had a fabulous time. We had a Gun Owner Rights Association meeting, a little seminar, had a little safety seminar, and we let a lot of people shoot their guns, shoot our guns. We had a wonderful time. We certainly want to thank our good friends Terry and Teresa LaFans. They were gracious enough to open their home to us, and myself and Heather and Ashley and all of us want to give them a certain great thank you. Also, our good friend Wade Cottrell. Wade has a refrigeration service there in Tuscumbia, Alabama, and these folks are really serious about getting something started. Also, our good friend Thomas Forsyth, who helped to get us down to Tuscumbia, to Muscle Shoals, that area in the first place. We really appreciate all of them, and more people than I can mention. We had a fabulous crowd, and we'll be showing, we got some bits and pieces of the shoot. To tell you the truth, we were so busy we didn't have much time to run the camera, but it was just a fabulous time. It goes to show how normal people can have such fun, have a great time, have great family recreation with their firearms, and also they can learn and improve their skills to protect themselves and their families. And I tell you what, friends, it was a terrible thing that happened out in Colorado at that school. But you know what? That's not the worst disaster that's ever happened at a school. The current press is calling it the worst. Well, it was certainly bad enough. It was terrible. The worst one actually happened in 1927 when a man dynamited a school. Quite a few more people were killed in that. That was back in 1927. And you know, as I understand, trench coats are being outlawed. So I guess they're going to have trench coat control. And you know, these children were not from abject poverty. They weren't living on the street. Apparently they were from a fairly well-to-do families and drove expensive cars. So see, that's not enough. You know, people have the capacity to do evil. There are some folks out there like Ann Landers and some others that say, well, children are innocent. That's not true. That's not true. Every one of us has the potential for evil. But you know what? Our training, our moral upbringing, our concept of a decent society, these are the things that restrain our behavior. And those of us who have a handle on it don't want to commit something evil because it's not good for us, it's not good for anyone else. But you know what? Now we're not teaching morality in school. You know, and something I've got to mention. You know, on our, when they had a special prayer vigil, you know, those children, they can't pray in school. They can't even, you can't even talk about it in school. You can't talk about religion in schools now, public schools. But you know what? When the chips were down, the teacher said, well, y'all start praying. Because you know what? They had run out of options, and they had to call on the Almighty for help. I mean, see, friends, what our silly political correctness, our silliness about being politically correct, when the well-known chips are down, when the boat is sinking, we suddenly began to get back to reality. But the problem is, if these people disarm us as citizens, realize that there were about 15 children, and I think one adult, 14 children, one adult were brutally killed. 2 of them were those boys that killed themselves. That was 15 people. That's a tragedy. But you know what? 50,000 times last week, guns were used in the hands of decent gun owners to stop crime, to make a citizen's arrest on a criminal, to stop a rape, to stop a robbery, to stop a murder. 50,000 times last week. And the week before that and next week, it's over 50,000 times a week. Guns are used for decent and good purposes. You know what, friends? Bill Clinton's already talking about. Wants to take all the handguns. Well, just ban them all. Just take them all. I heard Rosie O'Donnell got up on the Kathy Lee and Regis program. Rosie O'Donnell said, she stood up and she said, hey, you women, said when your husbands go to work, just take all your guns down to the police. Just to get them out of your house. I bet you Rosie O'Donnell has bodyguards. What do you want to bet? I bet she has armed security. What do you want to bet? What about us? What about you and I? Your family and my family. What about us? We can't afford to have armed guards. And you know what? I don't believe I'd want an armed guard if I was unarmed. I tell you what, hanging around me 24 hours a day, I want to be armed myself. You know, friends, we live in very, very dangerous times. And things that happened like this past week, the anti-gun people are going to use that. You know, they made propane bombs. What you going to do? You going to outlaw propane? You know, we're going to, the little propane bottles, we're going to outlaw them. You know, outlaw PVC pipe, outlaw steel pipe. What you going to do? I mean, they're crazy. And the NRA, in their infinite wisdom, has decided to roll over. They're going to cut short their convention in Denver. I don't know what they're going to do. I know they're going to cut it short, tone it down. Why? What happened in Colorado at that school had nothing to do with us as gun owners, had nothing at all to do with decent people. It involved crazy people using whatever means possible to kill others. Had nothing to do. Why does the NRA want to back down now? You know, we've said before, there are some wonderful people in the NRA, the National Rifle Association. They've got some great people in the field, but I don't know what planet their leadership is from if they're really representing gun owners, because now is when we gotta fight. Now is when we have to step forward. Now is the time for all good people to come to their aid, to come to the aid of their country. Remember that line we used to type in high school? Now is the time for all good men to come to the aid of their country. Good men and good women, good citizens. We're going to have to do it, friends, because we're about to lose our Bill of Rights. Bill Clinton, Janet Reno, they're talking about, oh my, you think it would have made any difference if there were gun locks? These were 17, 18-year-old kids. You think they couldn't get a gun lock off a gun? You think they couldn't buy one on the street? You want to put padlocks on every bottle of propane in the country? What you going to do? If there was ever a time, friends, if you needed a nudge to help you make a decision about educating more Americans, and please write this down, on May the 8th, Saturday night, look for the shooting show on the new Shooting Express Network. Our friend Ed Hubble and the Gun Owners Satellite TV Network, they're going to make a little start. I have no idea how successful it's going to be. I hope it is vastly successful. It's going to be on Satellite E2. Satellite E2. Our program is going to come on about 8 o'clock. That's Eastern time. But they're going to have about a 4-hour block of pro-gun programming. So please, friends, make a note of that. I don't know how many times I'll get to tell you on here, because it's all, in fact, it's more than we can do to be on this week, but here we are. You know, back to Tuscumbia, Alabama, we had such a wonderful time. We had local TV coverage. People were absolutely super. It's nothing short of. And it just goes to show how much fun and how many decent people. We had quite a bit larger, a much larger crowd than we had planned on. And it definitely stretched us all out trying to give everyone some individual attention. But you know what? It worked. We had the best time. And I tell you what, friends, we want to do more of these programs around the country. We want to do more. So please, if you'd like to have a gun owner rights meeting, gun owner rights association meeting in your area where we could set up and do a show, have a program, please call us. Let's do it now. Don't put it off, because we're losing our rights as free Americans. You know, friends, that character counts. Bill Clinton. You know, I'm not going to get off on what I think of Bill Clinton because they're certainly not good. But the whole apparatus in Washington, D.C. is geared toward one world government. You know, here Bill Clinton is killing people in Serbia, killing people in Kosovo, bombing some of the refugees, nothing to do. They won't let the military fly low enough to see what the heck they're doing. We're interfering in the Civil War. And remember, just a few years ago, when Bill Clinton had his turn to go to the front line and fight, what did he do? He ran. He was a coward. He showed what his character was then. He ran for it and demonstrated against the United States of America. And here this low-down piece of trash is sending young Americans into harm's way for who knows what, interfering in somebody else's civil war. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing? You know, it certainly did a good job of getting Chinagate off the front pages. It sure left behind poor Juanita Broderick and her rape accusation. All that's kind of evaporated in thin air. Look what we got, friends. Do you want to let those nice socialists take away your guns? You want to take away your rights? If you were waiting on something to help you make a decision, if you can help the shooting show stay on the air, because that's how we're here. Our sponsors take up a little, but most of it's taken up by you, our viewers. The slack is. You want to help us stay on the air, you want to help us reach more people. See, we're normal people. We like to shoot guns. We understand what this fight's about. Will you help us? Will you please? Like I said, at the moment I don't have the money to pay for this week's program, but we're here anyway. Will you please help us? You can join our GRA, $50 for an annual membership, $300 for a life membership, whatever you can do. If it's just $5, whatever you can do to help us stay on the air, will you please do it? Send to the shooting show, 327 Irvin Rowlands Road in Dublin, Louisiana. The zip code is 71024. You know, I heard somebody some time ago criticize me, said, well, that Johnny Rowland, he wears a black shirt and he carries a black gun. What's wrong with that? What's wrong? Are we that stupid? Or have we become so stupid? Beats heck out of me, friends. So you can't win them all. But what we want to do is reach more decent Americans, because that's the only chance we've got. If we don't, it's over, friends. And we're going to keep trying. Will you please keep trying with us? Will you please help us? If there's ever a time that we as gun owners need to be on television standing up for who we are, now's the time. Will you please help us? We have a great show for you today. Yes, I'm holding one of our carbines. Yes, they have started arriving. Some of you have already received yours. Just tremendous pieces of work. We had such a great response. Had some police agencies interested in our guns that have seen them, have some interested in our guns, because this offers a local policeman, somebody out there riding around in his car, no telling what he's going to run into. This offers him much more stopping power than he has ever had available in our pistols and the carbines. And I tell you what else, the Dan Wesson 460s have started coming. And I tell you what, friends, they are quite remarkable. This one has an 8-inch barrel. And we'll show you how to change the barrels a little later, but realize this one, they load with full moon clips, and our 460 cartridge, you know, it performs so well. It performs like a 4 or 5-inch 44 Magnum in the pistol. And we got these long barrel revolvers, and we've already started developing some hunting loads, and we'll be talking about that in a few minutes. In fact, let's use one of our hunting load 460 Rowlands here in this great Dan Wesson revolver. Let's go ahead and start today's program. Yes, we have some volunteer. The water bottles were a hit in Alabama. That's something great. Let me encourage that. Water bottles are fun to shoot, and it's very gratifying for someone to hit one of those water bottles and let them explode. It's great fun. 100% environmentally friendly. If Al Gore's listening, just pick the plastic up. But hey, let's get another shooting show underway. Yeah, those hunting loads do a pretty good job, don't they? Let's try another one. I'll tell you what, friends. I tell you, I don't have a scope for this thing, but we're going to show you some things in just a little while. It's really hard to believe what this great new Dan Wesson will do. Anyway, needless to say, it's also even harder to believe what our 460 cartridge will do. We really have a great show for you today, but let's get another shooting show underway.
Stay tuned for more of the Shootin' Show after these important messages.
The Shootin' Show will be right back after this break for your local cable company or TV station.
Friends, here it is. This is the great Georgia Arms 45 DA Colt or double action Colt cartridge. This is the first major improvement on the Colt 45 since 1873. They have this in loaded cowboy ammunition. They're also selling brass, so you can load your own combinations. This cartridge case is absolutely a joy to work with. We're even seeing improved accuracy, we think due to the slightly larger rim on our 45 DA Colt case. You can get a free catalog, or you can order these from Georgia Arms, 1-800-624-6861 for their entire lineup, and please tell them you saw it here on our show. Now friends, of course, the cowboy load is mild but super accurate. And of course, you can take your hand loads up to the limit of what the loading manuals will allow. The great 45 double action Colt cartridge from Georgia Arms. Give them a call today, friends. A free phone call with a free catalog.
And of course, I think it goes without saying, but we're going to say it again. We live in strange times, friends. There's no way of knowing what the Clintonites have in store for us. If I could afford to do so, I would try and put back some ammunition for my handgun, rifles, for everything I had that went bang. Georgia Arms is shipping our 460 Rowlands cartridges. They have two loads available, the ultra hot 1550 load with the nostril bullet, and they also have the defense load. And we think this makes a lot of sense to most people out there that would use this cartridge in our gun combination in defense or even for police work. So they have them in stock. They're very reasonably priced. Our 460 Rowlands cartridges are being shipped out. So if you want to give Georgia Arms a call, get a free catalog, 1-800-624-6861, and please tell them you saw it here on the show.
Now friends, what you're looking at here is Jim Clark's personal 22 long rifle. This is one of the great Ruger 1022s, and notice this is a fluted barrel here. We'll look a little closer a little later. This is a 1022 that has had the Clark Custom Guns magic worked on it. This is Mr. Clark's personal gun that he loaned me for, in fact, for the trip up to Tuscumbia, Alabama. We let some folks shoot this little thing and talk about your dream 22. Now we're out here at 100 yards.
Okay, you see that's going to go down to the little shot stop. That's about as far as we can go. It'll be clear a little bit less than that actually. See those little targets over on the left there? See, we have 1, 2, 3 of the shot stop. See those little targets? Let's see if we can do this. Now friends, we're looking through the scope. And you notice we have our, see how this going. See if we hit another one. Now we're at 100 yards with a 22 long rifle, semi-automatic. Let's see if we can hit a third one. And doing pretty good actually. My goodness, see, now that scope is stretched out. Let's see if we can get another one through the camera here. Well, let's try one more. We're having such good luck. And we'll apply our safety. Now then, let's back out of the scope here. Just so you can see how fantastically this Clark Custom Guns 22 long rifle, Mr. Clark's personal gun again. And yes, friends, that target is just over an inch down there at 100 yards, about an inch and a half actually. And these guns will shoot into, well, 5 shots into a half-inch circle at 50 yards. And I'm just using old Walmart variety Remington 22 long rifle. And I tell you what, do you think that would take a squirrel out there in the tall tree? I believe it would. See how far that thing is out there? A little bitty target. Now friends, while we have light left today, we'll look at the Clark gun in just a moment. You know, a lot of you out there like revolvers. I'm one of them. And our 460, none of us had a clue what the capabilities of this cartridge are going to be. You know how capable it is in the great 1911s, this great Kimber, for example. You know what it'll do. The 185 grain bullet at 1550, the 200 grain bullet at 1450, and the 230 at about 1340. Now typically the revolvers, because of the flash gap in the cylinder, tend to lose a little bit of velocity, not that much. Notice that the Dan Wesson here has an 8-inch barrel, and we were very curious, and then when we started exploring the possibilities of the gun, and also want to thank DJ Bushman as well as Bob Server from Dan Wesson. DJ is a cartridge developer and experimenter who is in Oklahoma and is really skilled at load development, and of course many hours here on the farm out there in the lab. But let's take a look at some hunting loads that we've developed exclusively for the revolver. Now what we've done, we've put a little more powder, but we've also seeded the bullet out a little bit. And let's take a look. We still got light enough for our chronograph, and let's take a look at what we're going to be chronographing. First of all, here is the 185. I think you'll find this pretty remarkable. And here we have a 230 grain bullet. Notice how they're seeded out. This is a 260 grain bullet here on our 460, and this is the 200 grain bullet, I believe. And let's see what they do when we shoot them through the chronograph. Now then friends, of course these loads, we got 4 in the gun, our 4 different loads, using full moon clips, which is a very handy and convenient way to shoot a revolver. Got our chronograph set up, and let's get started. We'll run our 200, and let's see which one it is. We'll run the 260 grain load first, and we'll go from there. As we said, let's start with our 260 grain bullet in our 460. How about 1,437 feet per second? Whoa, with a 260 grain bullet. Let's try the 230. It'll be coming up next.
How about 1558? You know, in the semi-automatic that runs 1340 with our factory type load. Well, let's run the 200 through there. $1,713 actually. That's a fast one. Typically they've been averaging about 1680, but my goodness, that one was sure fast. Now let's try the 185. Let's see what it does. How about 1,752 feet per second with a 185? Now wait a minute, friends. We're talking a whole different class of power here. Now friends, we're talking about these fantastic velocities, and honestly, as I've said, nobody had a clue. Myself, Mr. Clark, nobody had a clue what this little cartridge was going to. Talk about your little giant. Well, we shot the gun for groups a little earlier, and we just got these guns are in production now. This is, in fact, number 27 of our, it's the 460 Rowland model there. It has a model all to itself, and realize that this gun will shoot the 45 auto rim, it'll shoot the 45 automatic, and certainly our great 460. Now, what we didn't plan on, we didn't have any idea that the 460 was not only going to, we knew that it was going to overpower a 44 Magnum in a 4-inch revolver barrel. Now then, and really that's about all we want to put in the semi-automatics for the power level we got. But when we have the option of a longer barrel and a long Magnum type cylinder and a great big strong gun like this Dan Wesson, well, it's just amazed everybody. All right, the 260 grain Spear bullet put 5 shots essentially in one hole at 25 yards. And you know, it's hard shooting those water bottles just offhand like that, but this old gun, it is so easy. It has a great trigger on it. Now it's put 5 in 1.15 inches. Now then, let's jump up here to the 185. Now, I probably pulled this one. We were sort of in a hurry. Put 3 in one hole, 1 here. Overall group of 2 inches. With the 185 Nostriller, which it's the best performer in the 1911. But over here, the 200 grain jacketed hollow point, this is a Hornady XTP. Now it was under 2 inches, 1.77 inches. And for this particular gun, that particular load, the real show-off is the Hornady XTP bullet moving at over 1,550 feet per second, 5 in one hole, 98/100ths of an inch. Now that's no scope. Now that's about as good as I can shoot a handgun without a scope, honestly. But that is just phenomenal performance for the power we have. Now friends, we have a lineup of cartridges here. We just want to take a brief look, just for fun since we're here. Here we have the 45 automatic. We have the great 41 Magnum. We have a 44 Magnum. We have the 45 Winchester Magnum, which some of you may be familiar with, and then we have the great 45 Colt. Also, this one is the 45 Colt double action we have. And over here, the little giant itself, we have our 460 Rowland with a for real hunting load. And out of these 6 cartridges, which one you think has the most power? That one. It's as unbelievable as it may seem, and honestly friends, I can't explain this with physics or logic or anything else, but this our 460 has more power than any of these other cartridges. Certainly there are some 44 Magnum loads that will pretty much equal it, but out of all these factory type loads, our 460 actually has a power advantage, and certainly it is super accurate. But looking at these much larger cartridges here, that's unbelievable, isn't it? I certainly found it so, and yes, you can buy one of these great Dan Wesson revolvers that will shoot the 45 auto rim, the 45 auto, and our 460, and realize that you have such a tremendous, you can use all sorts of 45 ACP loading info to load the 460. No other cartridge on the table here has anything like the versatility of our 460 cartridge. You can literally go from softball 45 ACP loads, and I'm talking the 200 grain lead semi-wad cutter running about 700 feet per second, up to the fire breathing 185 grain running about 1750 or so. Now, my goodness, friends, that is remarkable performance out of one cartridge. It is much harder to do with any of these other larger cartridges, but certainly having the great Dan Wesson revolver does help.
Stay tuned for more of the Shootin' Show after these important messages.
The Shootin' Show will be right back after this break for your local cable company or TV station.
And we want to mention the good folks at Clark Custom Guns in Princeton, Louisiana, one of the most complete gun shops in the entire United States. They do all sorts of things like this specialty meltdown on this new STI gun. Also, they have an excellent staff of people to help you with guns such as these Benelli Super Black Eagles, taking 3.5-inch magnums, a complete line of handguns, semi-automatics, revolvers, all sorts of neat things in the shop there. And of course, here's Mr. Jim Clark himself out helping a customer, some of the nicest people you'd ever want to meet. They have a complete line of loading supplies, loading tools, gunpowder, you name it, primers, all sorts of accessories for your guns, whatever you might need, certainly within reason. Here's Kay Clark Michalik when she's not winning championships, back working there in the office. And here's her husband, Jerry Michalik, the fastest revolver shooter in the world, when he's not winning championships at work. Here's Jim Clark Jr. back on the lathe, the same drill, when he's not winning championships, working right there in the shop. That's why you can get such complete quality of product and expertise here at Clark Custom Guns. Friends, give them a call today, area 318-949-9884. They have a great catalog. We appreciate them supporting our project.
Now, friends, this, of course, is Dan Wesson gun you can buy from us here at the program. If you're a dealer, yes, we have dealer pricing available because the good people at Dan Wesson are trying to support our program. And the guns are going to come through us for now, certainly in our 460 cartridge. But it's just amazing the capabilities of this thing. Realize here we have certainly a large handgun, but we're talking about, let's shoot the 200 grain load. I think that's what we have loaded. Talking about nearly, well, certainly over 1,200 foot-pounds of muzzle energy, a 200 grain bullet running 1750 somewhere there. Watch it in my hand. And this would be a hard kicking load in a 44 Magnum. Even with an 8-inch barrel, it would be. Some of you shot factory loads at a Model 29 Smith & Wesson with the 8 3/8-inch barrel. You know what I'm talking about. You know how you've hurt your hand on those things. Let's just see what it looks like in my hand. Also, it's getting late in the day. The sun's just gone down. So if there's going to be a muzzle flash, you ought to see it. Let's see how it looks. Go ahead and stage the trigger. Didn't see it flash, did you? It's not that loud either. You know, typical of our little cartridge. Beats the heck out of me, friends. I don't know how this thing does it. It's just amazing. Let's try one more. Yeah, you see, it's got a little bit of recoil, but heck, there's nothing to it. Watch the water bottle. We have a volunteer. Let's see what it does. 200 grain bullet, striking, what was it, about 1,700 for the 200, wasn't it? It was 1,750 for the 185. See how it looks. Needless to say, it's the darndest thing, friends. And something we want to remind you of, Starline Brass. Starline has the brass. We will have these loads available. No, I'm not going to talk about them today. I'm just going to tell you what they're doing because we're still working on the finer points of it. We're working up our pressures and all. But they're perfectly safe in this great damn Wesson. So we will have proper loading information available on hunting loads. And essentially what you can do with one of these, if you can do it with a 44 Magnum, you can darn sure do it, or for that matter a 45 Win Mag, you can darn sure do it with our 460 Rowlands cartridge with the proper load. And no, I don't know when factory loads with this are going to be available, hopefully in the not too distant future. Georgia Arms is shipping ammo, our standard factory loads that fit the revolver and the pistols and the carbine. But we've just had a whole nother chapter opened up here, friends, that none of us foresaw coming. Heck, that little short stepping cartridge, you look at it, it doesn't look like much, does it? But my gosh, does it ever perform. These guns are available now, fantastic accuracy, different barrel lengths. We'll get a chance later in the program. We'll show you how to change barrels. And yes, the 4-inch version of this is also a very, very neat package. We have one of them, but we're not going to get to it this afternoon. Well, friends, while we still have some light left out here this afternoon, I want to show you Mr. Clark's personal squirrel special here. And Clark Custom Guns offers these guns. This one has the little fluted barrel on it. It looks like about an 18 or so inch barrel. Just a piece of work. You know, this is like any other Ruger 1022 on the outside as far as the way it looks, except for the barrel. And the really neat stuff, what I can't show you, is what's inside the gun. They put a tremendous trigger job on these guns, and they also, these barrels are capable of just phenomenal accuracy. As you saw, that's hard to do, hitting little bitty targets at 100 yards with a 22. That's a hard thing for any 22 semi-automatic rifle to do. But I don't think you'd ever miss with this thing. I tell you what, Standard has a 10-round rotary magazine like the Rugers do. Goes in the bottom here, and I tell you what, if you're interested in the finest 22 semi-automatic that money can buy, you need to give Clark Custom Guns a call. We have their phone number another spot in the program, and talk to them about one of these 22 caliber Squirrel Specials, because they are just phenomenal little guns. Certainly a precision 22 semi-automatic, but also a great fun gun.
Now, friends, this past weekend we were guests up in Tuscumbia, Alabama, and of course our television show runs locally on WYLE TV, and we appreciate their coverage of our shoot out there in the country at Terry LaFan's home here and his lovely wife Teresa. We had a tremendous turnout, had a fish fry, just had the best time. We talked about safety, about handling firearms properly, about all sorts of things, and besides that, we had a great time. A lot of folks who came were able to shoot their own guns, and we certainly let them shoot ours. We just had a marvelous day out on the range with so many nice people, and we appreciate everyone coming out and taking part.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, here we are in a beautiful countryside here in northern Alabama. A couple of fine gentlemen. On my right, we have Mr. Wade Cottrell. On my left, we have Terry LaFan. Did I say that right, Terry?
Yes, sir.
And this is the aftermath. You look behind us here. We got some shot up targets. Hey, the water bottles didn't fare well, did they, gentlemen?
They done great.
Yeah, they have a very short service life.
They don't get far.
Now, friends, this is the day after we're out here cleaning up, and did we have a great time or what?
Had a great time. Wonderful
Great
time. Good turnout.
I was really impressed with the 460-year-old.
Me too.
Well, I appreciate that, Terry. It is an impressive cartridge, but you know, we had people bring their own guns. We had one old boy with a 454 Casull, a real boomer out here.
Yes, sir.
And of course, I'd like to say our 460 stood up well in that company.
Sure did.
But the point is, friends, we had men, we had women, we had children. A lot of folks that hadn't fired their guns, and some of them in years. But they came out and they had a great time. They could see what a great family sport. Well, if we did a number, we shot all kinds of stuff. We shot shotguns, we shot 22s, we shot 380s, 9mm, certainly 45s, and our big stuff, 44s. But it just goes to show what you can do if you can get a movement started in your community to go out and shoot your doggone gun. So we had, of course, also want to thank everyone. We had a grand fish fry, some of the best catfish I ever had, and beans, my goodness, it was great. But we appreciate the community spirit that we had here yesterday and what we're trying to do. We certainly made some points for our Gun Owner Rights Association, I would think.
We did.
Sure did. I think we had a good response to it, and had a good response to the 460.
And you know, we had all those shots fired, and you know, we didn't have one injury.
Not one injury.
There was not a drive-by shooting.
No, right.
We had little kids that were shooting these guns, supervised, of course. I think we got some tape footage of that. And it was just a great time. We were very careful about where we shot, the backstop we had. But this is something we certainly want to encourage, and there are ways to do it. And of course, safety is the key to it working. You got to have safety, and you got to have people. Of course, Wade, you were an instructor, you were a police officer for many years. Terry, you've been a hunter and shooter all your life. We had some people helping to put it on that knew how guns worked and were very careful and safe. But I tell you what, we had the folks that came out yesterday. We had some people that this one woman had a little handgun. She had never fired until yesterday out here, and she did fine. Heck, people even clap for her. She hit the target, you know.
That's right.
So we really, I tell you what, we hope to come back. Certainly, we want to thank our WYLE viewing audience for supporting this. We had more people than I thought we'd have. Tell you the truth. We had about, you know, of course, we wanted to give everybody a little bit of individual attention and let them shoot whatever they wanted, but we really had just a tremendous crowd. I cannot imagine a nicer event than we had yesterday. Anything you boys would like to add?
I believe it worked out good. Everybody was happy. Everybody that wanted to shoot got a chance to shoot. And I'm sure a lot of people learned a lot of stuff. I learned a lot of stuff. And it was a real good show, and we're going to do it again.
Hey, we look forward to the next time.
And most of all, we want to thank you for coming down and
Hey,
being
Wade,
with us
I
and
was happy
spending
to
the
do it.
day with us. And everybody was really impressed. It's one thing to see you demonstrate and shoot on TV, but when you get out here and see it in real life, it's nothing like it.
Well,
Got to admit.
we're all just real people. See, that's the thing. And as we stressed yesterday, heck, I'm just an average shooter with a little practice. So any one of you could do as well as me with a little practice. And at some point, though, we're going to have some real experts on.
We'll get some shooting.
We sure will. We're going to have a great time. So again, thanks to our viewing audience here in the Tuscumbia, Florence, Sheffield, Muscle Shoals area. This is an absolutely terrific spot in the country, and we want to put in a plug. And also thanks to WYLE for their assistance in coming out. Hopefully you'll see some of that tape footage they shot at some point during the week or so here. So, hey, again, let's just do it again.
We'll do it. John, thanks for coming by. We
Hey,
enjoyed it.
thank you,
Thank you,
Wade.
John.
Thanks for all your help.
All right.
Yes, sir.
There's what we're done.
Stay tuned for more of the Shootin' Show after these important messages.
The Shootin' Show will be right back after this break for your local cable company or TV station.
Friends, you know, we're continuing to hear about the things that happened. This is Friday morning as I'm taping this, what happened out in Colorado. And you know, Bill Clinton and the anti-gun people are already at work. But you know, they refuse to acknowledge the fact from their own government statistics that where concealed carry laws have been enacted, there is a 30% loss in gun violence, 30% less gun violence where concealed carry permits are issued. Now, how are they going to explain that? They don't want to explain it. They don't care. All these people want to do is totally disarm us so they can have their police state paradise. And doggone it, now is the time, if there was ever a time that the NRA was going to stand up, now they're going to cut back their convention in Denver. And why in the world they even wanted to go to Denver where you have an anti-gun mayor? What in the world are they thinking about? Why that the NSSF wanted to go to Atlanta, and at least they had the courage to cancel their deal in New Orleans next year for the SHOT Show. But you know what? Now is the time to make a stand. I don't know why the NRA, they said they're going to cut back their convention to one day. And I don't know what kind of attendance they'll have now, because people are going to come from all over the country. And my goodness, if there was ever a time that those people with the NRA need to stand up, and I'm not certainly on the local level, we got good people on the local level. We have some wonderful people out in the states. But the hierarchy in Washington, if there was ever a time where Wayne LaPierre and Jim J. Baker and those other people with the NRA needed to stand up and take on the anti-gun lobby, now's the time. Now's the time. Nothing I can do about what they're going to do. But doggone it, friends, that's why we're here today. And I can't tell you what a strain it is to be on this week. Remember, please, please write this down. E2, Channel 6, beginning May 8th. And it starts at 7 o'clock Eastern Time. Our program's going to be on at 8 o'clock. Please write that down. Satellite, E2, Channel 6, beginning May 8th at 7 o'clock Eastern for Ed's program. Our program will be on at 8 o'clock Eastern. Please, friends, we need to support this little fledgling gun owners network, this little start that Ed and the rest of us are going to make here. My goodness, we're going to do the best we can. If there was ever a time, you know, when the going gets tough, when there's a problem, you meet it head on. You don't run from it. And unfortunately, the NRA and some of these other folks are running away. Now's the time to come forward if we're ever going to stand and say, wait a minute, the availability of weapons had nothing, you had some evil minds. The greatest weapon of all is between your ears. That's the greatest weapon of all. And these demented young men, my goodness, you cannot stop terrorism without a total lockdown of society. You know, they had 30-something bombs. They had a lot more bombs than they had firearms. What does Clinton want to do? Want to ban guns. Let's take the guns away. Take the guns away. Janet Reno, echoing what he said, take the guns away. Take the gun. Well, let me tell you what, friends. They're just using, they should be ashamed, but they have no shame. Bill Clinton has no shame. Janet Reno has no shame. What they should be ashamed of is using this incident where innocent people died because of two young terrorists. They're using it to further their political regime. Now, that's what they're doing, and doggone it, yes, I am hot about it. All of you should be too. And if they think we're going to roll over those of us out here in the hinterland who care, real Americans, real gun owners, real patriotic citizens, no, we're not going to roll over for it. No, we're not. We're going to stand and fight it. And I wish the NRA could find it somewhere in their leadership to develop a little backbone. Isn't that something? Okay, want to mention a couple of things quickly here. We have the carbines in from Olympic. They are coming in now. This is one of the great 460 Rowland carbines from Olympic. Comes with a 15-round pre-ban, a 15-round Uzi magazine. Tremendous package for the police, for the homeowner, for the American citizen. And when I talk about police, I'm talking about the local police and state police that are on the line with their lives every day. And no, I can't prevent the federales from taking advantage of our good cartridge, but I think we as citizens ought to have them first. We have the uppers. The complete gun is $849 for the complete gun with one magazine. Extra magazines are $49.95 a piece. we have the upper conversion units for your AR-15, regardless of manufacturer. We're working on the collapsible stock model. We don't have it yet, but hopefully we will soon. This is $5.59, and please include $12 for shipping. And on the long gun, the complete gun, it's $15 for shipping. So, friends, we've got them. They're in the pipeline. They're on the way here. Now then, we've had a huge amount of interest in these new Dan Wessons, and let me show you one of the things that makes the great Dan Wesson revolver so special. Friends, as we're talking about these great Dan Wessons, one of the things that has really been a hallmark of Dan Wesson, you could have different barrel lengths. This gun has an 8-inch barrel on it, but here is a much easier to carry 4-inch barrel. And let's show you just how easy it is to change barrels. Of course, we've already checked this gun, but the first thing you do is unload your gun. Of course, no ifs, no ands, no buts. First thing you do is check it. And I've already checked this gun, but I'll do it. We check them 3 times before we handle them or work on them or clean them. Check them 3, only takes a second. 1 time to be sure the gun's unloaded or to unload it. 2 times to be sure that we got it unloaded. And 3 times as a fail-safe to be sure. Only takes a moment to open the cylinder or check the chamber 3 times. Simple rule, 3 times. Okay, we just take this little wrench that's supplied with the Dan Wesson guns, and look here, just hand pressure now, and just unscrew the barrel nut. There it is. Take the nut off here, and watch. Take off the shroud, and just, it's all by hand pressure, no wrench required here. And no, it's not going to come loose. No, it's not. There are a lot of threads here. Even if you, certainly I like to shoot them, go back and check them at the end of shooting and just retighten them by hand. You don't need a wrench, you don't need to break it. This is a really tremendous system. All right, the way I do it is I put the barrel back in the shroud it came from, put that particular nut back on the barrel just like so it won't get lost and it'll protect the rifling on the end of the barrel. Okay, put it aside. Same drill here, take off the nut off our 4-inch barrel, like so. Take the barrel out, simple thing. Just screw it right in the frame. Just takes a moment. Just a couple of minutes, and yeah, we'll go ahead. Yeah, it's a lot of threads, but there's a reason for that. It's to spread out the stress over a large area in the frame. Simple thing. Okay, now I've got it right down against the cylinder now. Okay, I've got a feeler gauge here, and you can actually alter your flash gap or the gap between the cylinder and the barrel on the Dan Wessons if you so desire for different powders and things. But I like to set mine at about 3,000, certainly for the powders we're using, and just bring it down there on about 3. And what you need to do, every revolver has minute, and I'm talking very minute differences in the length of the different parts of the cylinder. So what we want to do, we want to turn that cylinder and we'll check the flash gap on each hole, and we'll find the tightest one. One will be slightly tighter. All right, let's go to another one. There we go. Looking good, looking good. And we just check them all to be sure it's going to work. Looking good. All right, we'll check all 6 of them, and I'm going to make a quick recheck here. Great. All right, we're there. That's all there is to it. Now then, we'll slide the shroud on. It'll only go one way, and we'll put our little nut. Here we go. I'm doing this trying to show it at the same time, of course. And put our little wrench there and give it a good twist. That's it. Now then, friends, a 4-inch barrel revolver, absolutely a terrific system. And I tell you what, we're not going to have time to run an accuracy test. We've already run an accuracy test on the 4-inch, and guess what? It's just as accurate as the 8-inch barrel. So the good folks at Dan Wesson are really doing their homework on machining. And of course, this is in our great 460 Rowland caliber, and we've got some of those same hunting loads we ran yesterday. And from a 4-inch barrel, let's go over to our chronograph and let's see what these different loads run from this 4-inch barrel. Let's start with the 185. Okay, friends, again, 4-inch barrel, 1,615 feet per second. Just a fantastic velocity from a 4-inch barrel. Let's try the 200 grain. Well, 1578. Tell you what, friends, that's pretty phenomenal performance. Let's try the 230. My goodness, friends, 1,464 feet per second, 230 grain with a 4-inch barrel. Let's try the 260. $13.54 with a 260 grain bullet. My goodness, friends, it's fantastic performance from a 4-inch barrel.
Now, friends, the point of this was to demonstrate just the power that's available in a light and compact, or fairly light and compact package. We do have these Dan Wesson revolvers. They are available from us now. We have our kit for the 460 Rowland for the 1911. That's $275 plus $5 shipping. And please help us promote our cartridge, friends, because it's helping us to stay on the air. If you will, please help us. We'll be talking more about these guns on future programs. We certainly intend to. I want to remind you, our Fun Gun Weekend is going to be the first weekend in June. That's Saturday and Sunday. Going to have a fish fry on the Saturday night. Going to have some really great things happening at our Fun Gun Weekend here at Clark Custom Guns here in Louisiana, in Princeton, Louisiana. Yes, there are plenty of motel spaces available. I want to certainly remind you about that. Let's go to our support group, people that help us stay on the air. We have Steadcraft, a custom machine shop in Torrington, Connecticut. Their number is area 860-496-7001. We have Dennis Crocker, a firearms trainer in South Carolina. Dennis's number is area 864-587-8722. And I want to remind you, Dennis is now handling Kramer holsters, first quality holsters. We have custom leather work in Saddlery in Denham Springs, Louisiana. Their number is area 504-667-9225 for all kinds of leather work. We have Camouflage Technologies. The folks that paint gun stocks, their number is area 909-674-6488. For great artwork on the web, we have Flying Horse Galleries. You can find them at www.flyinghorse.net. Also, the Little River Trading Company in Cadiz, Kentucky, specializing in Civil War and Confederate memorabilia. Their number is area 502-522-6167. And also BC Armory in East Leroy, Michigan. Bruce Warren works on pistols and revolvers. You can call him at 616-729-5508. And we have Cottrell Refrigeration in Tuscumbia, Alabama. Wage number is area 256-381-1887. Friends, please remember, on May 8th, beginning at 7 o'clock Eastern Time, the Shooting Express Network, watch for our show at 8 o'clock. That'll be on E2 Channel 6. We hope to see you on the next program.